I don't believe in the whole carbon footprint jazz. That's such a great little scam going on there to make you feel guilty about your footprint. You should never feel guilty about being a human being and living a modern life.
Keep on rocking in the free world.
Keep on rocking in the free world! Hey everyone, so this is the video where you can all call me a horrible person and I'm against the environment and blah 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 blah. I'm a humanist. I have talked about this before on my videos and definitely a lot on my social media as well, about how I don't understand the anti-humanism that exists out there. I mean, I do understand it, and I understand how it's come to be, but I'm telling you, I'm not one of them. And what I mean is people that constantly think human beings are a bad thing, and we're destroying everything we touch. And that religion that basically states that humans are not natural. Everything we do is not natural. Unless we go live in the trees and wipe our ass with leaves, we're not supposed to be doing what we're doing. And I completely disagree. Case in point, I see all these posts lately on social media, news sites and whatnot, with the hurricanes this year way down south in the USA. And it is mind-boggling how many people are commenting, "Oh my God, it's global warming, it's climate change. I knew this would happen. If we don't change our ways, right, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse." I'm just like, wow, these people really have no freaking brains. There has been a hurricane drought in the continental USA for over a decade with much lower than usual hurricane activity. And finally, we get some hurricanes during hurricane season in Hurricane Alley, and suddenly it's because of your SUV. And because you didn't change your light bulb. Like, it's absolutely laughable. It's laughable. These people are so brainwashed to think that nothing is supposed to happen anymore. And when it does happen, it's because of human beings. This all goes back to this whole anti-humanism, which I believe it's religion, and it's definitely it's a disorder. It's definitely disease. I can't say I really blame these people so much because they're bombarded by social media and media in general with hype and headlines and all sorts of scary stories all the time, constantly 24/7 on our phones, on our tablets, on our computers, on television news. We're bombarded with all this information. 20, 30 years ago, we weren't hit with all this info all the time, so things didn't seem as bad. But look at a little history. You can look up the facts yourself. Hurricanes are not increasing. In fact, they're flatlined, if maybe a little bit decreasing, if anything, over the last 100 years. All of the extreme weather categories, in fact, are flatlined or decreasing. And yet these people are like, it's getting worse, it's getting worse, it's the end of the world. They don't do any research. They just eat it up. They eat up all this mass media. They listen to their savior Al Gore, and they believe everything is getting worse and it's because of us. Now, I don't get it. I never got this, and I've been fighting against this for a long time, way before I was doing YouTube. And all of you long-term viewers know my opinions on this stuff. But this whole mentality is really getting insane. The vocal minority, I call them. Here in Vancouver, there's actually a group advocating now. They're trying to get a new law passed which will ban balloons in our parks and beaches. They're banning balloons. You know, a park where kids go to play, maybe play with balloons, but it's bad for the environment because some of those balloons might get let go, they might float away, and a bird might choke on them somewhere, sometime. Okay, so because that might happen, they want to ban balloons in all parks and beaches. They also want to ban plastic bags. They also want to ban straws. Like, how are you going to get a Slurpee at 7-Eleven without a straw? I mean, it's unbelievable. Talk about messed up priorities. Never mind the billions of starving people around the world. How about the homeless people in this city alone? But you're worried about kids playing with balloons on a beach. This just makes me infuriatingly mad, okay, that you're worried about something like that. Never mind the fact most parks and beaches in cities are pretty much artificial anyways. If you're so into being the hippy-dippy out in nature, granola cruncher, why are you in a big city, a big metropolis with towering skyscrapers, which by the way I think are beautiful. I think a big city is a beautiful creation, a human accomplishment. It's not a negative at all. But if you don't like it, why are you here? Most of BC is empty wilderness, but you choose to live in the middle of an industrial city with coal ports, sulfur, lots of shipping. It's a huge port. I mean, and pipelines come to the city where we're selling oil around the world. You come here to complain about, you live here, and then you complain about everything. And you bitch about every new building that's going to go up, every new development that they want to build. This anti-development, anti-progress. Like, these people think we should live in trees, literally, or live in caves. Like, it's just astounding. Okay, so you're a kid on a field trip, and you're walking on a hiking trail through the woods or the forest. I'm right near the forest right now, actually. A lot of those trails exist. And you see signs everywhere, and sometimes fences even, telling you, stay on the marked trail. Don't walk off the trail. You don't want to affect anything. You wouldn't want to, you know, step on flowers or plants or break any sticks or anything like that, because that would be unnatural. Yet it's perfectly okay that a beaver can cut down hundreds of trees. And the same beaver can dam a whole damn river and block water flow. That's natural because he's a beaver. But if you're a human being, no. Black bears, hundreds of black bears in this area. They're always spotted in people's backyards in North Vancouver and West Vancouver. They're big. They weigh hundreds of pounds. They can trample over bushes and flowers. They can destroy all sorts of stuff just walking through the woods. But if you're a human being and you step on something, that's not natural. That's bad. Bad human being. Don't do that. You see what I mean? This type of indoctrination is actually fucking disgusting. We're being taught that everything we do or touch is not supposed to happen. Like everything on Earth that happens that's negative wouldn't happen if we weren't here. That's called nature. Volcanoes, earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, all this stuff. This is what made the Earth what it is. I'm in BC. It's mountains everywhere. Where do you think those mountains came from? Earthquakes. Yes, there were even people after the Mexico earthquakes claiming it's because of humans. I was at a loss for words. I was going to respond to some of these people, but I'm like, what's the point? They're too far gone that they actually think this. Yes, there's the conspiracy theory types that think we geoengineer and we do all this and that. Get lost. This is not your channel. Aside from that, there's the types that genuinely believe that because we drive cars and use incandescent light bulbs, we're causing all this stuff to happen. And it's unbelievable. Statistically, nothing's changing. Nothing is changing out of the ordinary. That's the better way to put it. Things are changing. They've always changed. Since the beginning of history, there have been climate changes in the past that happened faster than anything we're seeing today. And slower than anything we're seeing today. The point is, everything that's happening today is well within natural variations. I don't care if you don't agree with me and you want to believe NASA bullshit, Al Gore bullshit. This is stuff put out by the same government agencies that want to tax you for your carbon footprint. Hello. The point I'm trying to make is, we are natural. We were created by, who knows? Look, I'm not religious. I mean, I believe in the flying spaghetti monster, for God's sakes. The fact that we have an effect on the planet is normal. We're supposed to have an effect on the planet just like every other creature that Mother Nature has created. Nature gave us, or God, if you believe in God, gave us opposable thumbs, gave us intelligence to do things, to take something out of the ground and turn it into something useful. We figured out how to build buildings and homes and roads and vehicles. The laptop or the phone that you're watching this video from came from the earth. Everything is natural. If you look at it that way, everything is natural in one way or another. It all came from the earth. Unless you believe we were dropped here by an alien species and we're totally not supposed to be here. We're not natives of this planet. I know there are some people out there that actually believe that. That's a whole nother story. But the idea that we're not supposed to use these thumbs and these brains to extract oil, which, by the way, since we've industrialized, our lifespans have tripled and our quality of life has gone through the roof, okay? That's not an accident. It's supposed to happen. Like I said, I'm a humanist. I believe that none of this is a coincidence, that what we do is supposed to happen. It's part of our natural evolution. And if we didn't drill for oil, if we didn't figure out how to build cities and medicines and electricity and everything else in our modern life, if we didn't figure this out, we would be a failure. We're doing exactly what we're supposed to do. Yes, there are some very bad things. Right now, for example, nuclear weapons are on the top of a lot of people's minds. That could wipe us out in an instant. Well, it wouldn't wipe out the entire species, but it would definitely throw us back to the Stone Age, which, unfortunately, a lot of these so-called environmentalists actually have wet dreams about. They actually think that's the way we're supposed to live. Most of them are over 30, 35, and they don't realize they would be dead if it wasn't for modern industrialization in the first place. But again, I digress. So a friend of mine who lives in a van recently got harassed on Instagram because she calls herself an environmentalist. Now, she wasn't harassed because she calls herself an environmentalist. That's a good thing. I agree. I'm an environmentalist. I believe in protecting our environment. Not against fairy tales, but against real problems and real pollution. She had somebody recently comment on one of her photos, basically telling her that she's not an environmentalist, she's a fake, because she drives a late 70s Dodge van, camper van. It's like, I don't even know what to say to that other than this guy's a total idiot. If you actually believe that vehicles are a bad thing, which I don't, by the way, vehicles are great, especially these days. I mean, vehicles are very, very clean. If you care about the environment, keep classics on the road. Stop sending them to the junkyard and stop buying brand new disposable plastic computerized rolling laptops that they call cars nowadays. Things are not made to last like they used to. People used to buy vehicles for their entire lives, or at least for decades. Nowadays, it's a disposable culture. Every few years, when their lease is up, they want a new vehicle. And unfortunately, new vehicles are designed as such. They just don't last as long. Look, you can argue this all you want. You could keep a new vehicle on the road for a long time if you really wanted to, but most people don't. And they're designed to fall apart. They're designed to expire when the warranty expires. Don't give me that crap, all right? And it's all about software, not hardware, so you can't fix anything yourself anyways. And those big, expensive, toxic batteries and electric cars, don't even get me started. There have been multiple studies out there showing they don't do anything for the environment, as opposed to a traditional internal combustion engine. They use child labor to mine for the rare earth materials for a lot of these batteries. And the power has to come from somewhere. And it doesn't come from solar panels and windmills. All right, all you people living in fantasy land think that's going to become a reality for most of our power? No. There's just all sorts of negatives to that type of vehicle. And there's real environmental damage on the spot where they mine for these battery materials. Again, that's a whole other subject. But the point is that you're on this rampage for this person because they're driving an older vehicle. It is a free country, by the way, and thank God we have the freedom to buy whatever we want, even if it's a 1901 vehicle. That should be your freedom. If the government takes that away from you, you're not in a free country anymore, first of all. But people like that, they want to force us through the government, through Big Brother, to live how they live and buy vehicles they approve of and change our light bulbs because they think it's better. They believe it's all about feelings, not facts. And it drives me up the wall. He's trying to make her feel guilty for her lifestyle. And so the question arises, do you feel guilty about living in your van or living in your RV? My answer is, hell no, I don't feel guilty about it. Are you kidding? I don't believe in the whole carbon footprint jazz. That's such a great little scam going on there to make you feel guilty about your footprint. Again, nature created us. She's well aware of our footprint. You want to fight a real problem? Fight against nuclear weapons. Fight against actual pollution, not fairy tales and computer models about something that theoretically might happen in 100 years. Fight against the here and now. Things that could actually wipe us out tomorrow. Now, if I did care about my footprint, the fact is my footprint is way smaller than the average house dweller or apartment dweller who owns a big house, heats a big house, has all sorts of appliances in that house, and drives a vehicle too on top of that. Or if you take the bus, my God, I was behind a bus today. There were about 4 people on the bus and a line of cars stuck behind the bus, and that bus was puffing up so much diesel exhaust, it was clouding the entire block. All the cars, there must have been 20 cars behind it. Nothing in the air. That bus is dirtier than 20 cars easily. All right, let's call a spade, okay? This whole idea that you think you're saving the environment. We had a thing in Vancouver, Metro Vancouver, called Air Care. It was emissions testing for your vehicles. You had to get your car checked every couple of years before you could get your insurance or license. In fact, somebody told me they still have something like that in California. It's called smog check or something different down there. But it was the same thing. But the point is, they got rid of it 2 years ago. We have no more air care. And you know why? Because air quality is better now than it was 25 years ago. And that's because we're getting better at things. It's not because there's less cars on the road. In fact, there's way more cars on the road now than there was 25 years ago. So do I feel guilty about driving my big V8 van around? Not at all. In fact, I feel more guilty knowing that the manufacture of the solar panels on my roof causes actual environmental problems. Sight unseen though, right? A lot of people don't care about that sort of thing. It's happening in another country, you know. I'm not worried about CO2. CO2 was 10, 15, and 20 times higher than it is today, back when the dinosaurs roamed the earth and the entire planet was lush, green, healthy, and full of animal life. CO2 is a plant food. It is the opposite of pollution. Don't even try to argue that with me. I'm against pollution. I'm not against plant food. You should never feel guilty about being a human being and living a modern life. If you do feel guilty, you're worried about your footprint all the time, I really do feel bad for you. Keep on rocking in the free world.
You are watching Just Incredible TV.